Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day. Thank you very much for joining. This will be the first video of this channel, so allow to briefly introduce myself. I'm Shakigami, typically an Overwatch content creator, you know that included from Blizzard. I'm streaming over at Twitch, and this will be my single player based YouTube channel. With the first video being the first game we play will be Conquest Dark, which you see here in the background, which with a little bit of lore. Basically, bad people are summoning undead and stuff, and we have to clear them. That is what we're gonna do. Enter world. Let us go. I have played the demo version, which is I think still available if you want to test out this game. The version is available. It is a Horde Survivor, a bullet heaven game where you run around in a small circle, shooting ever respawning monsters with various builds and things you can optimize, which is typically a lot of fun and a lot of randomness. The game offers you random items and abilities that you can choose from, and with that setting you have to beat the game. The game is set in a type of map where you have to go from one city to the next, or one place for the next, and the first one where we can start is the Gates of Karasia. This is where we start. The two cards at the bottom indicate that there are two possible bosses which we have to defeat, and this we want to do. You see, if you defeat the bosses, we complete these type of rewards. So the first boss, we get new locations and some soul coins and some corrupted soul fragments. You will see after this level what they are for. And for the second boss, we also unlock some permanent set increase, which will be rerolls, and some set increases. So let's start actually with the ritual. The game itself is recommended to be played on controller, even though I will be playing on mouse and keyboard, which limits me to 80 directions instead of infinite ones, but it is okay. We can start as human barbarian or human hunter, which of course is human barbarian typically is a melee focused character, while hunter is typically a range focused character. Feel free to type in the comments below what would you actually like to prefer most in this type of games, like in ARPGs, action RPGs, which this leans into. I will start with the hunter and hopefully some bow. And after selecting the character, you can select a proficiency. So you see this is grayed out because the hunter of course already has the proficiency for bows. But we could add savage attacks and two-handed weapons for this hunter instead if you would like to. In theory, we also have armor and shields, but I don't think we have those yet. So I will actually just go with the Hunter's Apprentice and with a bow and shoot stuff. Health in this game, explained by this window, works a little bit different than usually. You don't have just one health bar that goes from full to zero and then you die. If it goes down from full to zero, you actually lose only 1 of 10 stacks, and if all stacks are zeros, then you actually fully die. But losing stacks gives you bleed stacks, which makes you bleed, which makes you continuously lose HP, which means you have to counteract the bleeding. You have to heal yourself in one way or the other, and you can of course reduce your bleed rate from items, which we'll see later. With R, you can activate an auto aim, so your character will always attack if it has something within to attack. But with the aim, you can decide which direction. The first mob always gives you items, and this will be the weapon which we have, which is always drops first. So we can decide between two bows. One is a long bow, one is a short bow. The long bow having more damage, but attacking only has a lot less attacks per second, but it generates more energy per hit. Energy per hit is important for our second ability, which will be a powered ability, which we don't have yet. You will see in a second. So we will take the fast-firing Fury short bow, which also has solar damage. This is a damage type, which we will see in a second. That being said, we just activate auto aim, and our character just starts to shoot automatically if something is in the vicinity with the button R. And we just got a level up, so we can now select a random card. We could go for the burn for the solar damage, but the initial monsters are weak. We could go for projectile amount, which typically just increases our damage by 15% from the bow, which would be nice. And we could just increase our damage to healthy, which means undamaged enemies. So we can one-shot them maybe more and give us a little bit of projectile pierce, which I enjoy a lot. So we take the projectile pierce, so we just shoot through them. And, shoot the buddies in the back. Let's go. I'll just stand around, wait a little bit for XP coming in. The first level is somewhat a tutorial mode. It is a very easy level. I believe in your ability to beat it. And here we got our, on level 3, our power ability. We can decide between power shot and ricochet shot. So, as we see on our bow, on the bottom below, the bow generates 8 energy per hit. And this energy is the energy cost mentioned on the powered ability that we are looking at. So we could take the more expensive power shot, which does a ton of damage and just pierces everything, or we can just take more smaller shots that ricochet or bounce between targets, like plasma shots from Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. And a lot less cost, so we will fire a lot more of them. So we're gonna take the cheaper, smaller shots ones, because I expect enemies to be weak. And you see the blue bar below our health bar filling up. That's our energy bar. Whenever it's full, we will shoot the extra powered ability shot. And that's why we always see an extra arrow fly. It's auto-aimed at some random target. What target it aims for is described in the ability. Different abilities will have different targets. And of course different builds will have like throwing knives and axes and swords and everything. Now, here we have decided between dodge charges and health regeneration, which would give us the first way of healing ourselves, which is health regeneration. But dodge charges are somewhat more interesting. We take this to show what they are in a second. We could also take attack speed, which of course will increase our fire rate from the bow, but also our energy generation for the ricochet shot. Or we could take the projectile amount, which gives the same damage as attack speed, but doesn't generate as much energy. So I would rather take attack speed as the projectile amount. But we're going to take the dodge charge just to show it once. Now you see at the bottom right, there's a gray area appeared. And if I would now take damage, let's stop shooting for now. I dodge instead, and you see the gray bar is filled, and I didn't lose HP. So the dodge charge gives actually the ability to tank one shot without taking damage, which is of course very, very useful. In this game, we also take bleed stack to demonstrate the bleed stacks. After we select the item, so we have critical hit damage, critical hit chance, which is of course an insane combination. We just take that one, increases our damage by a lot. Good combo. So if we deactivate shooting for now, and we take the damage to a bit, let's take the attack speed. And we take damage now, dodge once, and now we take damage. And you see, we take actually quite a bit of damage. And our health bar is going down. And we are losing health bars quite fast. And now you see, now I leave a blood trail, which means I'm bleeding. And you see this -2 popping up. This is my health continuously depleting. So now I have to find a way to continuously heal myself back up, or I will bleed to death and lose more of my stacks, which would result in a failed run. And of course, you see in the top of the timer, if the timer runs to 0, we won. If not, if you die earlier, we lost. So, we have solo damage, so we could take more solo damage. We could also take saloon damage instead. Let's take the burst shot every second, shoot 3 arrows towards the closest nearby enemy. Because we have a short bow, so it's likely more short ranged, so we will end up with enemies in our vicinity. So the concentrated shot itself would be stronger every 2 seconds if no enemies are nearby. I shoot 1 arrow, dealing 225 to 375% lunar damage, and generating 10 energy per target hit. So you actually can pierce, and you can later split these arrows, so you can hit multiple targets and generate more energy. Or the burst shot, every 3 seconds shoot 3 arrows towards the closest and nearby enemy, dealing 225 to 375 solar damage each. So we shoot the same amount of arrows, we do the same amount of damage per arrow, but we shoot 3 arrows, but with less frequency. But I think the burst shot is easier to play for now, so we take the burst shot. Armor piece or resistance chance to spawn healing soul, which is very nice to counteract the bleed, and critical hit chance, which we picked earlier, which is very strong. Or stalker reps, 10% or resistance, so this is the same on all 3 weapons, the all resistance. It has also critical hit chance, the same as savage bracers, and resistance piercing chance. So I think resistance piercing chance, I'm not fully behind this tag. I think it means if the enemies have resistance, we are kind of ignoring this resistance. And the third one will increasing our all damage by 20%, and critical hit damage, which is also kind of nice. In this case, I will take the chance to spawn a healing soul to counteract our bleed. So we have actually another measure to heal ourselves, which is very useful for us. And you see now sometimes enemies drop a red orb, and that will be healing. So if a boss like this appears, you can click the boss. It will get a red circle below, and you see the arrow on the top. Like gray arrows means they are in target range, and red arrows means they are targeted. And then your character will prioritize firing at this enemy. But if the enemy is out of range, he will fire at different enemies in range. 50% to all resistance. The boots. The soccer boots have more movement speed. The savage boots have a little bit less movement speed, but more critical damage, which is for a bow character, I think, very strong. Let's take this one instead. So we just kill more. We don't need to dodge dead enemies. So let's just kill them faster. Basically, how these games work is the faster you kill enemies, the faster they respawn, which means you get more XP, which means you outscale them also faster. And additionally, if you just kill them, they can't hurt you. So attack is the best defense. We gonna increase our projectile pierce and our damage to healthy, which is good against small mobs, not so good against bosses, but it's okay for now. We will not be troubled this round anyway, so it doesn't matter so much what we pick, honestly, on the first round. We could survive with any build the first tutorial round. It is not that hard. I don't expect to run into problems here. And you see, with our powered ability and our passive ability, we are now actually firing quite a bit of arrows in all directions, one-shotting most mobs, so there really is no issue to clear the stage over and over again. We will just stand here and just shoot. There's not much trouble. Now we have some solar damage weapons now, but I think we do not need to burn them. They are dying either way, so we just take attack speed for even more arrows and just make this a true bullet hell and spam projectiles like mad in all directions, and that should be fine. You can also physically dodge attacks, so if you get close, they start the attack animation and you dodge again by just walking out of the range. This also works in this game. And you can sometimes also just outrun enemies by circling them, and they cannot turn fast enough to follow you. We will hopefully see when some bosses spawn. Now sometimes on the map you see this grey floating tombstone-like things with a skull. These are coins. You see on the top left. We will use to upgrade our characters with meta updates later. So if you see them, select them. Here we have a boss, so we just mark him, so our character focuses him if possible. The boss generates white areas on the ground, so don't stand in them. And besides that, we can actually get closer and dodge with spacebar. It's quite a slow attack. And you can see the boss also has multiple health bars, which we have to burn down before he is truly dead. The Bone Colossus. Like, we don't need to move here. You can just stand still and he will be dead. Boss defeated, item dropped. Let's see what we got. Attack reach and critical hit chance, very nice. Critical hit chance, critical hit damage, also very nice. Resistance piercing and critical hit chance is also very nice. I think in this case, I will go for the critical hit chance, critical hit damage. It's always a nice combination. Increases our damage by a ton. 10% more crit chance, 50% more crit damage. And basically, your damage increase is just a multiplication of both. So 0.1 times 0.5, which means 5% damage increase in total. Which is not very much yet, but they stack up and multiply with each other, so the more you get, the more useful they get. Now, the movement ability is this is what your character does when you press spacebar. And here you can just take the boring dash with just nothing but dashes, or we can disengage. So every seconds we can fire extra arrows when we dash, so like this. Extra arrows fired, shots fired, extra enemies die. Very nice. Very satisfying graphics and sounds in this game. Can only recommend it. Very well made gameplay. And also very easy to read, actually, like attack animations, death animations. It's very clear what is going on. Very well made. Can only recommend this game. The only thing that's missing is digging walls, as most of you will know, coming from the genre. The only thing that's missing here. We can take the projectile amount, is the only damage ability here. The character level up perk. By the way, the items we picked, they are somewhat random, but if you press tab, you see we actually got actually armor for the character position. It's just in the typical gameplay, you do not need to sort this type of inventory. So there's no inventory management in this game in this sense. So the next drop will probably be just legs. So the slot will fill automatically. We don't need to worry about, picking and switching and reading stats and comparing stats. The next item drop will just be 3 variations of legs, and you just select one leg variation that you like. And of course, you also have some character power, offense, defense, utility, and things, some numbers, where you can see your actual stats. Oh, there's a new boss, so let's mark this guy, so he gets shot at. That's only a small boss with only 5 health bars. He blocks quite a bit. And no, he dead. Hehe. Let's take projectile amount. Splitting arrows is actually a lot of fun. And as promised before, we got the plans for the legs. So we could get bonus health, critical hit chance. Not a huge fan. The thing is, I'd rather get more healing than rather more health, and more dodge than health. We do not strictly need more healing. We have enough healing as it is, so... But we kinda like the critical hit chance. So we could take primary attack ability damage, which is long for, your main weapon. And bonus health, or take chance to spawn healing soul and critical hit chance, which of course buffs all weapons, or take critical hit chance and bonus health. So in this sec we take the healing with the crit chance. As you can, if you press tab, now see, now we got legs equipped now, medium armor. Just run around, kill things, nothing to do here, nothing to worry about. Use our dodge charge for the random attack. Didn't pay too much attention. Collect all the coins. As we will need them after this round. We'll continue with our projectile peers. You see in the class mastery selection, you see that this is rank 3 out of 3, so if we pick this now, it will be out of the pool, because we have select all available updates for this aimed shots ability, or perk, or whatever you want to call it. Not sure how it's called in game yet, we'll find out later, since this is our first run. Now, ranged characters have spawned. You can again prioritize them by marking them with your mouse button. This is not a ranged one. We just click randomly. Which of course you have also to dodge projectiles. Which are sometimes a little bit hard to see in this game. So we have to be careful to not run into them. But since we are far ahead of the curve, I'm not really worried. Even if we tank a shot or two, we should just out-heal. If you don't just eat every single arrow available on the map. Which of course is all totally possible with my level of skill. The final boss spawned. You see the timer has stopped at 2 minutes, so you cannot just wait out the boss. You actually have to defeat him. Now this boss has actually 2 spinning spikes, which we have to dodge additionally. You can run through the change, of course. The best way is to stand right in between. And if they come close, just press spacebar, dodge out. We could increase our movement charge recharge rate now to dodge them a little bit easier. Since dodging here is now very strong with the boss. With our dodge here, need to be a bit more careful to not take damage. As I said, we can just spacebar through them to not take damage. And just kite this boss this manner and you will be fine. Still collect all the coins. Ah! Ran into this one, my bad. And he dead. And this should have been the final boss of the stage. Now the timer runs out and we should have won. If we survive 2 more minutes, the stage will be over. And we have unlocked new parts of the map, as we have seen in the reward screen earlier. Yay, defeated our first mega boss. Let's go. The enemy density increases by a lot after defeating the last boss, typically on each map. So this is a good point to generate more coins that we can farm. Just try to kill them as fast as possible. Don't dodge too much, rather run to the face and destroy them. Like find clusters of enemies and shoot them. If you manage not to die. If you took a little bit of damage, no biggie. Can out heal. It's fully okay. We take more dodge charges. Since now the enemy density has increased, we kinda can use them. You can see at the bottom right, we have now 2 grey arrows to indicate that we have 2 dodges. Also on the right side, basically, we can check which buffs you have taken. And to just defeat the hordes of monsters coming in. Since they're all slowly walkers, there's not too much unpredictability. Later on in this game, there will be jumping monsters and shooting monsters and zones on the ground and everything, as you would want to have in a Bullet Hell Would Heaven Horde Survivor type of game. 17 seconds left. A practical amount, attack speed or elemental mastery. We take the attack speed. As we like to just shoot more. But also gain more energy from shooting more. In general, you can also just always pick the useful update with the least amount of updates yet, so you never run out of useful upgrades to pick. And now this is the final wave, which you cannot survive anymore. The death tier. The green skeletons will eat you alive. Now we're dead, and the ritual is concluded, ending with my death. And this is all the rewards we got. We got the corrupted soul fragments, the soul coins, sorcerer's fall, altar of power, the Stygian archive, shifting sands. You will see this in the map right away. Don't worry if you don't know what this is. Permanent stat increase with 3 rerolls, and the increased armor stats. Let's go. And now you see, now we have unlocked the Stygian archive, which is the place where you can select meta upgrades for your character. And we have unlocked, yeah, this is how it works. Basically, we'll check it out in a second. So, this is the Stygian archive, right here in the big city. You click it and you enter it. It's like a map part. And here you can see what you have unlocked. So we have unlocked humans, we have unlocked permanent stat bonus, we have unlocked this 3 origins. And we have unlocked the barbarian and hunter class so far. And if you go further down, you get weapon sets, armor sets, power abilities, passive abilities. This is just what we picked in-game. And here you see they have a number and a green arrow up, which means we can level them. And typically how this game works is it's kind of useful to select one type of build and put all eggs in one basket, basically. You know, just put all points into with a field short bow and buff this to infinity. But it's a little bit boring to play this way. Also, the first maps are kind of easy, so you do not need to select something yet. We can just close it and use it later. And also we have the altar of power. There will be several altars across the entire map where you can use the red currency with the souls to increase stats as meta updates. Now the altar of power increases all damage, because there's also like orb radius, the pickup radius. There will be what else will be there? There will be crit chance, there will be crit damage. Like basically all stats will have an altar where you can level the stats. And now the first update costs 1 soul, second update costs 2 souls, and so on. So it always doubles in damage, in price, sorry, while keeping the same 2% increase. So it is useful to spread your souls across all kinds of updates. And this somewhat is also true for the Stygian archive. So you can create a variation of builds. For example, you can now select the sword, but you can also, even if you select the sword, you can go for bow abilities. And you saw at the character selection, you could select the character type, like human hunter, and you could also select a proficiency. So we could select the proficiency for dual wield, which means we would get a bow as a main melee character, but because of its proficiency for 200 weapons, we could also get the power abilities for 200 main weapons. In this case, maces, for example. And this way you can mix and match whatever you build you would like to do. Now in this case, I would like to keep our bow build, play a little bit of hunter, so we just upgrade a little bit of hunter abilities, and here you see as well the coin cost per upgrade increases per upgrade spent, and but there is a limit how much you can do. Runes we will see later what they do, and at level 5 you will get some extra bonus. So let's just select some bow perks for now, longbow perks. So you see in the bottom it's grayed out, see for what type of bows the update is. So typically hunter has a proficiency for short bows and long bows, so we could select both. I personally prefer the ricochet shot a lot, so we also invest here a little bit. Here again, short bows or long bows, we select the burst. Even though I have to say, probably next run I will probably show off a different class. So let's actually select the Slayer's Blade and also upgrade this one, so we can show off a different build next run. So you just see a little bit of a variation. Just click randomly. As I said, it doesn't matter too much. You will survive the second run anyway. And also at the bottom we see both bosses are grayed out, so there are no rewards anymore for these bosses. You get the first time reward. You can still replay the same level. You still get coins. You still get drops from the monsters, but you don't get the rewards from bosses anymore. Now we go, we just now play free basically the next map part, which we will select randomly shifting sands. Like you can select different things. So here you get the Stargazer and Ice Spikes, so you could select where you want to go. So this one selects the order of please, don't know how to read that. And here you select the order of barbarians, basically the band of lions. Actually, since we want to play the barbarians, let's go this direction, because this will unlock us the barbarians fraction. You get also a fraction bonus. Faction bonus, not fraction, faction bonus, sorry. So here we see only barbarians, perfect, that's what we wanted to do. And here we have critical hit damage or reduced bleed rate. Now bleed rate I don't like to pick because this is when you're losing, it's not for me, I always win. Damage to elites and lunar damage. Lunar damage is not so useful on the barbarians, more for like this bow type of character or caster type. Barbarians will typically do primordial damage. And stout frame gives bonus health and solar damage. Solar damage also not so useful. So in this case I think I will actually take the critical hit damage, because it at least does something. So not very much. So as you see, the proficiency for Savage Tactics and 200 weapons is now grayed out. We already have that as Barbarian, but we could take additional proficiency for both. Now, this will also add the random cards, so you kind of can consider to not take the proficiency, so we will not get perks presented. This is what I will do now. I want to show off the Savage Tactics with 200 weapons, so we'll just pick this for now, so you can fully enjoy this type of build and see and compare how it compares to the Hunter. Again, the first monster spawning doesn't do too much, it just drops items, and we get the Slayer's Blade or the 2 Ravager's Axes. We updated our blade earlier, so let's take the Ravager's Blade. 30% damage to elites and ability damage. Let's go. But the rest is the same. We run around, we slay stuff. Bam. Bam. We slay. The start to nerf is always kind of slow. I kind of wish it would be a little bit faster, honestly. Like, it feels like a little bit tedious, but it's okay. Giant's Reach. Attack Reach and Attack Arc, which is very strong. So you swing wider and longer and further. Rampage. Movement charges and critical damage. Now, this is interesting for later when we actually get movement abilities. Or Berserker Rage. Attack speed increased per life loss. Damage increased per life loss. Also very nice, but I do not intend to lose life. And I also don't know if this is actually the health bar or the amount of bleed stacks you have. This I actually have not figured out yet. I will figure out later. So let's take Giant's Reach for now. It sounds like I took damage, but I don't see that I took damage, which is weird. And you see, monsters get this gray arrow, which will be the next monster to attack, but it's not in range. As soon as it gets range, it gets the red arrow. So it's just that indicator for auto attacks. And you see at the bottom, level 1, so which means we invested upgrade the weapon once in our Stygian archive. And on the right, the Giant's Reach. On the top right, at the character level. All because of now we got our powered ability. So we have the X-Toss proficiency if we would have taken X's, which we don't have. And we also have the Seismic Slam. Slams the ground in front of you causes seismic force that deals 188 to 200 to 300 primal damage to enemies caught in it, plus ability damage. So this sounds nice. we slam the ground. Again, energy cost. Remember earlier, the hit generates 8 energy per hit. So per enemy hit, we get 8 energy. And so if we hit 5 monsters, we get the seismic slam. The X-Toss throws to X towards random enemies, dealing again the same amount of damage. But potentially the seismic slam can hit more enemies, while the X-Toss can fly. Which might be useful because we might just one-hit enemies, so they're not hit nothing anyway. But let's show off the two-handed build for now. The X build is more a dual build, and this is more like a two-handed build. So this was the seismic slam, which did nothing because everything dead, as I said earlier. It will be useful, more useful against bosses when bosses do not die, and we then just, Speaking of bosses, here is one. And now we can dodge his attack by running behind him. So this is a way to deal with the boss. It just takes his back. Also, the violet monsters have always additional abilities. So this one you see dual wields, short daggers. So these are thieves, which can dodge. So you have to hit them. You have to hit them 2 times. And this is important. It doesn't matter how much damage you deal. The first hit will be dodged. Damage taken second and damage taken reduced by life loss, which is nice. Increased life loss. So this will be like a tank build, but we take the Giant's Reach for more slaying potential. And let's equip our headband, which is the first piece of cloth we were getting. So all get all resistance, so we ignore the first set. Now, critical hit damage and primary attack ability damage. So they are both the same, they also have the same name. Or we can take chance to spawn a healing soul and resistance piercing chance. I like to get a way of healing very early. But we need only one way of healing basically, and then we are done. So I pick this one for now. You saw the first hit did 0 damage, they just dodged. And this is dangerous because they can actually counter attack you. So they are a lot more dangerous than regular enemies. Movement charge, hit damage. Attack speed, chance to spawn a healing soul. Now, with a Bloodthirst, we would actually not need to get the healing souls from items. We could have actually just taken the ability here, which we of course will take. More attack speed is very useful for a slow weapon, so we actually get more hits, more seismic slams. In general, more consistent build. A lot nicer to play. Now let's just run around and slam stuff. Pick up the coins. Oh, so there's a sorcerer boss spot, so we have to actually get close to physical with this one. Otherwise he will shoot us for the entire game. Now we get a passive ability. We could take the Whirlwind, in which spin a set of swords around yourself, dealing 23 to 38% primal damage. Not very much, but it's continuous damage. Every 0.25 seconds to nearby enemies. So it's a very frequent attack to all around us, which is very nice. Or execute. Every 1 second deal same amount as our seismic slam. Primal damage up to 3 random nearby injured enemies. So only on injured enemies. We can basically just finish them every 1 second. Now, let's take execute for now. And so see the extra hits coming in from our abilities. Very nice. We got boots, movement speed, reduce beat rate, movement speed, critical hit chance. And here you see the primary attack ability damage is golden, which means this is a more rare upgrade. And this is also the reason we will take it, because they all have movement speed, but this one has the rare upgrade, so we take the 150% primary attack ability damage, which is only for our Slayer's Blade. But 1.5 times the damage is of course a lot, and you see now we are one-shotting casually all skeletons roaming around. Swinging a huge attack arc, seismic slamming, executing whatever survives instantly. So yeah, so with this type of enemies, of course, the execution doesn't do much. This is more useful against bosses, but we don't need extra abilities against the skeletons. They are fodder anyway. As I said, it kind of slow start in the game, but it's okay. The first maps are really easy to get used to the games, to test out mechanics, before you have to actually think about builds. Now a mage spawned, so we run towards the mage. We take the attack speed and chance to spawn healing soul, because since we are one-hitting the enemies, more attacks is more useful than critical hit chance and power ability, which would increase our damage, but also could use the movement charge, but again, this is more useful when you have a movement ability. So let's take Bloodthirst for now, for just more attack speed and more slicing and dicing. Run around, focus on the casters. This is the slow projectiles, the fire, the undead mages. Pick up all the coins, they are useful for upgrading. Even though I'm not too worried about picking everything up because the arena is very limited. I didn't say it earlier, the green area around is your border, you can't run out. You just stagger against the wall. So you will pick everything up eventually. It's not like other games where you have to explore the entire map and find all gold repositories or altars or whatever. The map is very limited. It's not infinite map like in Death Must Die. It's not a resource map like in the Dwarf games. It is just a small circle where just a small arena. Rampage for movement charges, Giant Reach, which we picked earlier. You see, rank 3 out of 5, it's we're gonna take. Or it takes speed per life loss. We don't plan on losing life, so let's take attack reach and more Brigger Arc. And just slay Arcane Guardian spawned. So he can block. If we see the attack animation, we will dodge. Until then, we're just gonna run around circles around him. And he's literally not attacking us. We are too fast for him. I'm the quick, you the dead, as Cassie from Overwatch would say. And we ran into armor. Critical damage or critical chance. So these two are legendary, so we're gonna pick one of this. Not sure if it's called legendary, they are marked as more special. I think since we have 0% critical chance will be a lot more useful now, infinitely more than critical damage. Because as long as you do not have critical chance, critical damage will never apply. That being said, we also have only 5% critical hit damage, which is nothing. Not much, but well, it will rank up. Don't worry. Now, we got to our runes. As you've seen earlier, the weapons abilities have this small empty circle above them, which is the rune slots. And you can unlock runes, and the runes are grouped by color. So the red ones, the primordial ones, have like critical chance, critical damage. The solar ones, like you remember on the bow character, with the solar damage type. There are also solar runes, which more for like how to say it, more for the bow abilities. Also lunar runes, which are more for like projectile split, projectile pierce, this type of things. So for the raw damage, we go for critical hit chance. I think it's most useful for now. And we got our first rune. Now, we got the second rune right away. We could either upgrade or get a new rune. And as you can see, we have 3 rune slots, but only 1 rune. So we could not use more runes, so we need more runes now. So we just acquire more runes for the moment being, until we actually have enough to actually satisfy our entire build. We're getting a little bit low on HP. I don't know how this happened. Probably I just ran into everything in existence. Looking more on the loot on the ground, as I typically do. Usually you say fight first, loot later, but I kind of tend to do it the reverse way. Loot first and then see if you survive. Which also kind of works if you are greedy like me. Run around, say stuff. Focus the mages a little bit. We're not watchdodging them anymore, which means our execution passive ability now actually comes to play, which is nice. And we got a movement ability, which is a leap, which is very nice. So it's actually we are walking and we can now jump, yip. Which is very good to jump into a group of enemies and then die. So you saw now we got a bleed stack, lost our entire bar. So you have to be careful with it. But it also deals a lot of damage. Oh, there's a mini boss that spawned, I did notice. He shoots more projectiles. So let's slay this one for now. Dodge projectile as good as you can. Oh, we lost another bar. Okay. Oh, I'm dropping bars, not in the good way. Piece of equipment spawned. Let's try to pick that one up. We can pick now primal strengths, critical hit chance and power ability damage, which would be very nice. We could take more Bloodthirst for more healing souls. Also Berserker Rage, where we actually now get something out of, because now we actually have lost HP. So let's take the Berserker Rage and hope we get more damage and attack speed increases. Also pick up the armor, which is for the pants. Movement speed, I don't like movement speed too much. Reduce critical hit chance or attack reach and chance to spawn a healing soul. Now, attack reach would be very nice. Chance to healing soul not so much. I think I will actually go for the boss killer now, which is resistance, piercing, and critical hit chance for more consistent damage against specific targets. Now we got a rune imbuement, which means now we can actually put our rune somewhere, and we're gonna place the first rune into our main weapon. We have 2 primary runes, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and we take the critical hit chance in our main weapon, which would increase our damage by a bit. Bonus cells, that's actually a lot of bonus cells, and critical hit chance. A chance to spawn a healing soul, not really required. Movement speed also not very required. Like we want to be melee anyway, and bonus cells and critical hit damage. And now, do we want more critical hit damage or critical hit chance? Critical hit chance is increased by 10%, critical hit damage is decreased by 50%, so critical hit damage will be the bigger multiplier now, so let's say critical hit damage. As you see, acquiring bleed sacks sounds kind of awful, but it's really not a big deal. You just need to have some healing and you will be fine. So don't stress yourself out for playing perfect runs. It is nice, but you don't need to. You can fall asleep on the wheel in between, it's fine. You will be fine, you will survive. Even though later levels will actually punish you, and you will actually lose rounds later on. Which is okay, you still keep the rewards from the bosses you slain, and you still keep the rewards you picked up, like the coins and the drops, like the souls. Critical hit chance and power ability damage, damage taken staggered, and damage taken reduced per life lost. Or let's take the resilience. Let's get a little bit more tanky. Typically don't build in tanky, let's see what it actually does. Not sure if it does anything actually. I think if I run into enemies I will still die just the same, and I still think I have to dodge just the same. So I think it's literally a wasted level, but let's see, maybe I'm wrong. Like the early levels are good for experimenting, so let's experiment. Good. We lead ourselves across the map. If you run into groups like that, you get the instant seismic slam, which feels nice. And a boss spawned. It's a teleporting boss with projectiles, okay. Let's watch her animation. So we can dodge the projectiles correctly. Let's put the normal mobs behind her, so we actually deal damage to the regular mobs as well. Jump over the projectiles with our leap. Oh, bad position for me. So let's just run circles for once, heal ourselves up a little bit, and go for her again. Oh, she teleported again. Very nice for us, so we can actually attack her directly. We are very low HP. We lose another bar in a second. Yeah. Oh, no, we still lost it. I hoped I could avoid losing it. 2 health bars left. Jump over the projectiles. Into her face. In your face. One more, and we got her. Bam. Yeah, she did. Let's be greedy and pick up stuff right away. We again can apply a rune. Doesn't matter too much what we use. We take as a prime critical hit damage on the side of them, since we triggered a lot now. After the boss death, a lot of enemies spawn. As you can see now, we can actually upgrade a rune, and we're gonna upgrade the critical hit chance. The critical hit chance up is actually only 2.5%. Maybe we go for critical hit damage. Actually don't know. Let's go critical hit chance. It's okay. That's like yeah. There's no point in like power leveling at level 2. Like it really doesn't matter. If you get 2% here or there, it's the same. We can worry about builds later when we actually can optimize something. Now since we have leap, we can actually now pick the movement charges and increase our critical hit damage, which will be really nice. Now we can actually move around by jumping, which we should do. Like always when we have 2 charge, we should jump, because it increases our damage output, increases the amount of enemies killed, which also of course increases things dropped and levels gained, which is typically a good thing. As I said earlier, the best way to survive the stages is to kill lots of enemies, so you level up fast, so you stay ahead of the curve. Then you will have no trouble. And of course, jumping to a group of enemies instantly triggers my seismic slam, which makes it somewhat safe to slam dunk them with my butt. Double leap. Now, these guys can dodge. This is a little bit scary, but I think they cannot dodge my leap, which is actually nice. So actually, jumping them is actually very useful. Jumps the mages, so they don't shoot us. This next jump, I want to jump into the skeletons below. We take the attack speed and chance to spawn healing souls. Let's finish the bloodthirst. Gets the coin. Butt slams a group of dodgers. You see, now basically, we can just run straight into groups of enemies. It doesn't do too much. Like you see, my HP is very stable. So it's not too bad. So if the build is kind of going, it is kind of going. And this is of course something that a melee build gives you. Like you cannot do this with and stage complete, ritual complete. Jump away, pick as much stuff as you can. Let me jump once more. Oh, couldn't jump once more. Let's go. Ritual concluded. Got all the thingies. And now we have unlocked not only the runes, but also the Band of Lion. So in this thing in archive, we saw there is factions. Where is it? Classes? Yeah, classes. So you have a class Barbarian, class Hunter, a class Thief will be next. And so on. I will not spoil. I know what comes next, but I will not spoil. And for each class, you get basically one faction. And if I now play a Barbarian, I will level up this faction and gain primal damage, 1.25 per level. Here on the right side, we will get the, like here you see it, the faction for Hunters. And down here, I think you get the faction for Thieves. Yes, here, Thieves Guild. Exactly. So you can unlock factions, and you also see we have unlocked the Altar of Souls, where we can upgrade and get a soul attract range, which is not very useful, so we just level it once, maybe level it twice, because we are lazy. Like, it's not really required, because the map is very limited, you can run around only so much. Now it's got the West, there are actually 3 bosses, or more unlocks, but I think it's also harder. 10% increased enemy damage, and 50% increased enemy health per tier. Scary, scary. So actually I would now run around and complete all the 2 skull maps, which also unlocks more classes like Thieves and Hunters. But we will leave this for a different day. This will be it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's runs. If you liked them, this is the first video of the channel, so every support is appreciated. Every follow, every sub, every comment, every like, every view is very much appreciated. It's very useful for me. If you could support me a little bit, it would be very nice. And with that being said, we continue at this point the next time, and see you in the next video. Bye bye. Thanks for joining. See you next time. Bye. 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 Bye.